that was held in commemoration of the explosion victims.
You know, anything that brings people together, particularly in the name of the Lord, is something that we will always welcome. We think we need more of it. You know, and what we need to do is to be able to learn from these things and moving on, because that's how a country starts to mature. It was very, very sad what took place, and it shows some weaknesses in our country. Clearly, laws need to be updated, and even the facilities at the Victoria Hospital are obviously grossly inadequate. Fact is, we didn't have enough ICU beds, and we had to depend on flying people out. And thank God, as bad as it was, it could have been substantially worse than what had happened. So I welcome any opportunity. I know that there was a couple of memorial services that took place. One that took place in the Bexon area with young people and people from the community. And I think there was one that took place last night. So we're very much appreciative of those efforts, and anything that can unify our country and help in terms of prioritizing our values is very welcome.
What sort of assistance and what sort of aid is actually being brought to those families of those victims, or is it government planning?
Well, there's a process for it. So we have a Ministry of Social Development and Empowerment, and so they'll be working with the victim, the families. Clearly, the government spared no expenses in terms of writing the letter to the French to be able to cover the cost of transporting them over, and basically has guaranteed the payments right now. I have not had any personal discussions with Mr. Gajada face to face, but we've spoken over the phone. I know that he's been incredibly supportive. And I think that he was very grateful for the fact that the government took that burden off right now. So that is something that the process will work out. And clearly, our best wishes go to the families, and our sympathy goes to the families, that their government is going to be here to be able to help in any way. And I think that also in seeing the outreach from the community as well.
Are there any updates on the ongoing investigation that you can speak of with regards to the storage of whatever was in the containers? Because from what I've been hearing or being told is that such storage should not be in the possession, should not be out of the police armory. So with that regard, I'm aware that there's an ongoing investigation. Are there any new developments that you can speak of?
No.
Now, a new fiscal year is around the corner. Can you outline what the plan for the budget would be?
Very difficult budget. We've taken the principle that we're no longer going to kick the can down the road, and that we've really been trying to ascertain where the state of events, and maybe to me an old cliche, the state of the union of St. Lucia. I've also been physically going around to the different offices, and it's amazing to me to see the conditions in which some of the civil servants are being asked to work under. And it's not to say that we don't know the difference, because if you just go to the La Roque building, and you have Inland Revenue on one side and you have Invest St. Lucia on the other side, clearly somebody understood what needs to be done. So when you walk into the Invest St. Lucia office, and clearly whoever did that didn't also deal with Inland Revenue. I think the new financial center building has also caused some problems, and that people want to see an upgrade in their standards. The $450 million in payroll that we have here, of which there is very little that we can do right now other than try to get more productivity from it. And clearly, to do that, physically the government is going to be expected to increase the amount of facilities that we have. We're already spending $44 million a year in rental payments, to give you a number. So when you get into your salaries, you get into pensions, you get into $300 million a year right now in debt financing, and then the cost of opening up the O&K Center, we're already struggling. So as I've indicated to everyone, that what we're looking to do is a fiscal budget for this year but a very clear program over the next 4 years in terms of how do we transition. You know, and then, you know, you hear some irresponsible statements. So I have to say to you that what rings in my ears is the leader of the opposition when he was in the House talking about that there is no need for a sinking fund. And when you look at the amount of money that we're going to have to turn over in debt this year alone, it just tells you that the country was on autopilot and that there are a lot of things that we're going to have to change. And those changes cannot take place all in 1 year. It's going to be impossible. But we have to be able to find the country in a much more fiscally stable position. Look what's going on in some of the other neighboring islands. And as I've indicated in speech after speech, that economics has no conscience, doesn't know people, doesn't care. And that when you look at things like making America great again, does that include St. Lucia? When you look at the crisis that Europe is in, with the amount of people that are starving in Africa, and the fact that people are migrating in the thousands every single day from Africa to Europe, can you continue to truly expect to believe that those countries are going to continue giving us money? So we have to be able to get our house fiscally in order, and we need growth. I mean, there is no doubt about it that this country cannot continue to survive on the level of growth it has. And so it's how do we find that balance between bringing fiscal responsibility to the state, which potentially may mean increases in taxes, with now attracting new investment, which means you have to lower your taxes. And how do you find that balance to make that happen? So that's the difficult trek that we're trying to walk. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to present a plan in the budget, which takes those things into consideration, and what we're going to be doing over the next 4 years to be able to bring this thing in alignment.
Okay,
So one
more
question,
point.
you just said Mr. Trim, has any sentiments on it?
You know, it's been a very, very difficult week for me, because obviously in addition to Mr. Trim, one of the people that was killed in the explosion was also a very close friend to our family. And you know that I've always felt very, very personal with a lot of the young people who've been killed in recent times in St. Lucia. The difference with Mr. Trim is not only did I know him, but I've been working very closely with him for the last couple of months since I came into government. And it was his passion for this project, his passion for horse racing, and what he felt it could do for the young people of this country. I was just with him on Friday, where we had a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture, the Chief Veterinarian, and the people from the DSH, because they were just now about to implement the phase of the training for young people, to start training all the different young horsemen. And to see the excitement that this thing was really happening, that they had identified horses in the region, they had identified world-class trainers to come down here. I was in Vieux-Fort when the accident happened, and I went to the hospital, and unfortunately he had died before he arrived at the hospital. Almost to see to whether this was true. For me, I'm not going to let that spirit die. A lot of people may try to put all kinds of different spins on it, but the one truth that I know is that Winston believed in this project. It changed him. And he changed to becoming a very responsible young person. A young man all young people in St. Lucia should see as a beacon. That even if your life seems hopeless at this point, it is within your power to control and to change. And he did that. He had a dream, held on to it. And I, for one, promise to be able to embrace that dream and to know that what he started, we will finish. But it's obviously a great loss to a lot of young people. It's a great loss to St. Lucia at this particular juncture. But I have no intentions of allowing what he started not to go unfinished.